So there are a few things to look out for, not necessarily all happening this week, but we're looking out for a new cabinet. As you remember, Ruto fired almost his entire cabinet last week. So we're going to be, looking out for a new cabinet being formed. The other is a national dialogue, which is aimed at taking stock of several of the issues that the protesters were demanding to be looked into, and some of the others that have been on his own plate, including, the debt burden on the country, things like corruption, etc., and how to tackle these issues. And then the other one is what you alluded to, a new finance bill that will set out how he is going to, take the fiscal issues forward. And like you rightly alluded to, we're saying from the initial reading that the fiscal deficit will be expanding to, a wider percentage of GDP than had earlier been projected before the protests. That is something, right. Those are things that the protesters as well as the markets will be, looking at closely.
How big of a concern is that then, David? I mean, what are the markets, how are they interpreting this?
It is a concern. As you remember, when Ruto had just come in, Kenya was at really high risk of debt distress. The currency was, sliding. The stock exchange was not doing very well. And he set out a very, very strict, rather ambitious fiscal consolidation plan. And it was anchored on mobilizing more revenue. And he was kind of sticking to it. And we had seen it, begin to work. Fiscal deficit was supposed to come down. To the gap was supposed to, be about 3.3% of GDP. But it's now expanding. So we're going to see how the markets will react to that. From the initial reading, it looks like the debt servicing may not rise, even if the fiscal deficit, right. Expands a little bit wider than earlier anticipated. But we're going to see how the market reacts to that.